Broadcasting live, this is the Handicappers Report, brought to you by the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany, and CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today.
Good morning. Welcome to the Handicappers Report on this Saturday morning. I'm Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. Anthony Mormino on vacation, so I'll be going solo this morning, but we will have some guests at 10 o'clock on Racing Across America. Last day of Royal Ascot, so we'll have some Royal Ascot races plugged in over the next couple hours this morning and continuing through the morning, as again, it is the closing day of the incredible Royal Ascot meet every year, the grade ones, and the racing's been very good. So a little bit of a head scratcher in some races, and I'm sure some of that will continue today. The opener, which is now about a half an hour away, is 2-year-olds going the straight 7 furlongs, and you could point to all of them. They've all had one, maybe a couple of races, and you could point to all of them and think, this horse will do okay. So we'll talk about that one a little bit as that approaches again at about 9:30-ish for the opener at Ascot today. But again, we'll talk more about that 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, we'll be joined by our friend Dick Powell. Nobody better to reach out to for international racing than Dick. So Dick will join us, as I say, a little after 10. The second race will go off at about 10:05. So we'll pull in Dick after that, and it'll be perfect timing because the third race today is the Grade 1 QE2 Jubilee. So we'll talk a little bit about the Group 1 race this morning, the third race, and more, Ascot with Dick. And then a little bit later on, we'll be joined by Ellis Starr, national racing analyst for Equibase. His race of the week this week is the Ohio Derby, so we'll talk a little bit about that. A couple other stakes on the day as well with Ellis. Catching Freedom, the likely favorite, coming up a little bit later on in the Ohio Derby at Thistledown. So plenty of good conversation coming up top of the hour. But as I say, I am flying solo here this morning on the Handicappers Report. I will alert you that a couple of mandatories coming up this weekend to be aware of. First, the Rainbow Six at Gulfstream today is a mandatory. That was supposed to happen last week. But again, they had that crazy weather down in South Florida last week, so some racing canceled. So they shifted the mandatory to today, Rainbow Six at Gulfstream. I think I read they were expecting 4 million in the pool. They usually, the expectation that they put out is usually lower than they get. So they'll get some money certainly in there. And then tomorrow up at Woodbine, there's a mandatory payout in the high 5. So keep that in mind for the next couple of days. Speaking of keeping in mind for the next couple of days, do keep in mind that today here at the Clubhouse Racebook, double promo day. We'd love to have you stop by Clubhouse Racebook this afternoon. Exacta board, match bet promotion. A lot of fun. You can win a little extra something on this Saturday afternoon. Come on down, watch all the races. Of course, on the weekends, the sports screens have all the other sports available. You can also grab a little lunch at Black Bear, our new food vendor, relatively new food vendor. And once again, I will vouch. I've had a number of their items, very good food. So come on down, double promo day, Clubhouse Racebook this afternoon, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. And I want to alert you also, normally on a Monday, we aren't in here doing live television, and we won't be in here doing live television, but we will be on Monday. We're going to be on the road with OTB live from the Finger Lakes. Should be fun. They have a couple of stakes races scheduled for Monday afternoon. We'll be out, and we'll pull in Tide Height out there. We'll get a word, I'm sure, with the Big A, Anthony Stabile, and just take you through a nice Finger Lakes card live here on the network Monday afternoon from the Finger Lakes. So make sure to join us. All right. I will take a look at some Belmont at the Big A and some Churchill Downs this afternoon. I will take a look this morning at this afternoon's cards, and we'll kick things off with the opener at Belmont at the Big A. They're on the grass for the opener. These are maiden specials scheduled to go 1 mile and 3/8. I have the 1 entry, 2, 5, and 3. I debated about, and David Aragona has the 1 entry, 3 to 5 on the morning line. And I get it. It's Chad and Klarovich. I'm not sure this entry is, unbeatable. And I looked for alternatives, and the horses I have underneath are interesting, but I'm not sure I'm, super excited about that. So I eventually just landed on the entry. Vesting is kind of interesting. You look at the European breeding, and Chad Brown and his owners like Klarovich and more in the vein of Peter Brandt have been buying horses over in Europe at auction and coming over. So I looked up, and sure enough, this was a Tattersales 2022 purchase. They paid $228,000, but more importantly, this horse was originally bought at auction at the Goffs auction November 2021 for $243,000. So the original buyers paid $243,000, then they sold to Klarovich for $228,000, and still a pretty good amount of money in it. But it just kind of struck me that the original owners were willing to take a loss. This horse, one start, the number was pretty good, but it was a 5th place finish. The other part of the entry factor analysis has had 3 improving efforts number-wise. They've all been hitting the board. So I think both of these are live, but they're not jumping off the page at me. And 3 to 5, you'd expect that. Vintage Vino has a number that matches the 2 top picks, but did run a 8th in a field of 12 in the debut, and it was way in the back of the pack early. So certainly going to have to improve on that effort. But it's a Linda Rice runner with a little bit of breeding, some experience now under the belt. So, if you're looking for an alternative, I could make the case there. Again, there wasn't out there for me to think, I'm going to look for that upset. Same with Garden Leave. Shug McGahee trainee, who has put in a couple of efforts so far and improved in start number 2, and I don't think that's out of the question to continue. But both races had some trouble. And again, when you see it once, but when you see trouble like that a couple of times early in the career like this, I just wonder if the horse is maybe a little prone to trouble. We'll find out more today. And again, number-wise, last time was in the thick of things with my top selections, but did run 10th last time. So as I say, I looked for alternatives. Stop the Press goes out for West Point and Shug. Has had 6 tries, hasn't gotten it done. But another one that I think probably fits with this bunch. Again, if I'm playing a pick 5, I'm probably going to spread around a little bit, but I did wind up with some trepidation on the entry. In the opener at Belmont at the Big A, 1 entry, 2, 5, and 3. Belmont at the Big A, second race, allowance non-winners are 1 other than 3, 5, 1, and 2, Unmatched Wisdom. Another short price, Chad Brown Klarovich runner. This one is a little more jumping off the page, though. 98 buyer and debut. Now, this is the kind where it's tough to, for a horse with only the 1 race under the belt to string a couple together like that. But this horse, looking at this field, can go backwards a number of points and probably still have an edge in here, but does have to kind of validate that number from last time. However, as I said, even if you're kind of not buying into that and we come back, I think could still have the edge. Now, Paddington put in a decent number last time and a good little second place finish for Linda Rice. And I think off of that seasonal debut is poised to maybe go forward a little bit and become very dangerous in here as the alternative to the short price. Seeking Unity in the 3rd spot. Good close-up second, 3 back, good win. 2 back. And then tried this type of company last time and ran a decent little 3rd, just behind Paddington. But again, I think this horse is in currently very good form. Has to be paid attention to there. In the second race, Belmont at the Big A, 3, 5, 1, and 2. Third race, Belmont at the Big A. We're looking at lower level conditional claimers going a mile and an eighth. I have a 3, 4, 7, and 1 because the night on top. Mike Maker, Manny Franco. The career so far has been more turf or synthetic. And in fact, the last couple of races were on the turf and the synthetic at Gulfstream. But the numbers are okay. The one dirt start, the number was pretty good. Actually, there were a couple of dirt starts. The first start of the career was an off the turfer, and that was a nice win, actually. So the horse has some decent dirt form. And this isn't a particularly strong field. Now, this one's 3-1 on the morning line as the second choice. Going to be interested to see where the betting public goes because they may land here as well, being it's Mike Maker, Manny Franco. But I don't know whether I'd want too short of a price because I do think this is a pretty competitive field. Creation of Adam in the second spot. This one offers some value. It's a Chris Engelhardt trainee coming down from Finger Lakes. I think because the last couple of starts are at Finger Lakes, you will get some value here. But I do think this horse could be a player in with this bunch. Was seen on the NYRA circuit going back a few starts and was competitive. The numbers are maybe a little bit lighter than the better numbers from others in this field. But this horse is pretty lately raced. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one go forward. And nobody is super consistent with the numbers they're putting up. Third spot, I'm going to go with I'm Just. That is the morning line favorite. One start so far this year. That was back in the middle of April. And it was a nice win to break the maiden. So this one seems to have perhaps come back as an improved 4-year-old. Now a little bit more time off. And, enough time to kind of regroup from that big effort in the seasonal debut and may live up to the morning line favoritism. So for me, in the third, Belmont at the Big A, 3, 4, 7, and 1. Fourth race this afternoon down in New York, starter allowance types going a mile, 3, 6, 5, and 2. Storming Chrome on top. Horacio De Paz, runner. Comes in off a near miss second last time in an improved effort. And it was a lifetime best buyer number. So this is one of those that as a 5-year-old, maybe just kind of figuring it out. If you look down the page, really just seems to have progressed nicely throughout the last 12 races or so, highlighted by that near miss last time. So a horse in good form. Last time was a mile and an eighth. I kind of like the cutback angle as well. So I think Storming Chrome is very live in here. Timaeus, the 6 horse. Another one this one is very lightly raced with only the 3 starts. Claimed last time, moves into the barn of Linda Rice for owner Linda Rice. And I think this could be a clever claim because so far in the career, 3 starts, 3 finishes in the money, a win, a second, a third. Broke the maiden 2 back for 35. Followed it up with a good second last time against limited winners, a 25 non-winners, a 2 conditional claiming race. So got a little experience against winners. I like the confident move into this starter allowance. And I don't think this is a super salty bunch at this level to think that Timaeus won't be competitive in here. And again, being lately raced, there's certainly some upside. Gut feeling in the third spot. Just look down the page, and this horse typically throws in races that are going to mix it up very well with this bunch, maybe even have an edge on this bunch for the most part. As I say, when you go down the page and look overall at what this horse typically runs. Claimed last time. Trainer, not knocking it out of the park off the claim, but so far with a limited number of starters at this meet, doing pretty well. So gut feeling seems a contender as well in here. In the fourth, Belmont at the Big A, 3, 6, 2, and 5. Race number 5 today, Belmont at the Big A. State bred maiden special scheduled on the grass at 6, 4, 8, 7, and 1. And I'm just looking. Okay, I did change that up. So I am going to make a verbal change here. My numbers, I wound up changing, and I eventually went 7, 4, 8, and 1. And I have cross marks here. I just didn't change the numbers on my page, and I sent in my original numbers. So again, I flipped those around. I'm now 7, 4, 8, and 1. Again, originally I looked at Charles J, the 4, by Cairo Prince, a sire I like quite a bit as a win early type. Hasn't gotten it done yet, but makes the third start off a little bit of a layoff, cuts back from a race up at Saratoga a couple of weeks ago. And I think this horse is legit. But eventually I thought, you know what, New York Scrappy, first time starter from Mark Cassie, who has a little bit of interesting breeding, but more importantly, there are a couple of workouts there that seem to indicate this horse is going to be well met. Certainly that bullet back on June 5th stands out a little bit. So as I say, eventually, the more I looked, the more I thought, I'm going to go with the fresh face in here, and one with some nice workouts. New York Scrappy on top, Charles J in the second spot, and then Launch Control down in the third spot for Kerry Breon. Comes in off a nice workout down at Fair Hill. Second start of the season, seasonal debut effort was a pretty good try. And I think this one can build off it, particularly looking at that workout. John Velasquez on board, so I think that one is dangerous in here as well. So again, this is one where I kind of looked and then had it one way, and the more I looked, I thought, you know what, I'm going to go 7, 4, 8, and 1. Race number 6, Belmont at the Big A, $25,000 plain vanilla claimers, going 3/4 of a mile. 1, 4, 5, and 6. I'll put She's a Little Edgy on top. Has some nice early speed. We'll have to use it, obviously, from the rail. I'm a little bit dicey always on these rail starts. I think you're up against it. If you don't get out and get some position, the others can kind of come over on you. But this one with the early speed, I think could be okay. So She's a Little Edgy on top. Fontana Freda in the second spot, comes in off a string of second place finishes, but they were a while ago. They're going back to December and January. Hasn't been seen since mid-January. There was a voided claim then. That was for 32. Now comes back for 25 off a layoff. So there's a little bit of concern here. But on the talent this horse typically shows, I had to put it in the mix. But again, there's a little trepidation. Timed out in the third spot, comes off the claim. This one comes off a claim for 16 and moves up to 25 for Orlando Noda. And I like that move. Certainly has been claimed the past couple of starts. So has been popular and has lived up to the popularity with good performances. So in good form. I think a good fit with this group. I have it 1, 4, 5, and 6. All right, we'll take a break. So when we come back, more Belmont at the Big A, a little bit later on Churchill Downs. Oh, and we also are now just about 10 minutes away from that opener at Royal Ascot. All of that right after this. Stay tuned.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. But here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Falbrough. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to Handicappers Report on this Saturday morning. Again, Mr. Momino on vacation this week, so I'm going solo. Let me just give you a little update here as we are about a little under 10 minutes away from the opener at Ascot. And just looking, your favorite is number 1, Age of Gold, Charlie Appleby runner, who, again, these are 2-year-olds. Going a straight 7 furlongs in the Chesham for 139K. And as I say, they're horses with 1 or 2 starts. They've all obviously been good starts. So you can point to just about anyone in here and make a little case. And the big prices we've had earlier this week at Royal Ascot, a couple of them at least have been in these 2-year-old races, which, as I say, you can point to the longest price on the board, make a little case perhaps. But the favorite is Age of Gold. I like Age of Gold, but I have a couple other prices in the mix. I went 115, 14, and 2. The 1, Age of Gold from Appleby, is the 2-1 favorite off a debut victory back towards the end of May. My 15, 11-1 on Expensive Rose, who debuted and ran a good second, followed it up with a nice win. This is a filly facing the boys, but that's not unusual in these kinds of races. The 14, I also thought was a little bit interesting. Oh, that one's the second choice at 5-2. That's an Aidan O'Brien runner, so no shock. I think that one was the morning line favorite. That one was the morning line favorite. Now the second choice at 5-2. And then I also threw in the number 2, who was 24-1. That's Brian, who has yet to win. Still a maiden, 4th in debut, but a pretty good second place finish last time. And I was expecting a price. We're getting it. So again, I have 1, 15, 14, and 2, which includes a couple of logicals and a couple of, 1 long price and 1 mid price in there. But currently your favorite again is the number 1, Age of Gold. And we're about 7 minutes away from that one. So I'll handicap a couple more races and then we'll send you to Ascot to get ready for the kickoff to the closing day at Royal Ascot. But in the meantime, race number 7, Belmont at the Big A today, conditional claimers going 6 furlongs, 2, 6, 3, and 8. Excuse me, Venge on top. Nice win last time to break the maiden. Took 13 starts to do it, but sometimes it takes a while. They get one and they can go back to back. We'll see if that's the case here. This one comes off a claimed away from Ray Handel, goes into the barn of Ferraro, and it's had a subsequent little bullet workout. Best of 71 in anticipation of this start. So given that, I thought, you know what? I'll see if this one can put a couple together. That bullet work seems to indicate intent for this afternoon off the claim. Pashal Moon in the second slot comes in off a nice second place finish in a similar event last time. Was claimed out of that race, claimed by Ferraro. So same ownership here, and also comes out of a bullet work. I would have to think these two were working in company because it was the same day. And so kind of like one, kind of like the other. So we'll put the Ferraro duo on top. Third spot, number 3, Messi the Magician. This is a class move I like quite a bit. And I kind of kicked myself just the other day when I had one like this in the mix down under, I think in the same third spot. And I said, I like this move. I hope it doesn't come back to bite me. We'll see if this one does. Morning line favorite, may live up to it. I like state-bred allowance runners when they move into open claiming company. If it's open conditional claiming company, even better. So this one becomes very, very interesting on the class move this afternoon. In the 7th, Belmont at the Big A, 2, 6, 3, and 8. Race number 8, Belmont at the Big A. Nice full field in here. State-bred allowance runners going 6 on the grass. 10, 11, the 1 entry, and 12. Collected special on top. Collected is a win early type of a sire. And this one kind of lived up to it. Was knocking on the door in the first few starts, then won the 4th career start, won the 5th career start, won the 7th career start. So once this horse broke through, did very well, has won 3 of the last 4. Tries the grass today, and I'll see if Rob Actress is on to something here. Obviously, with the career so far on the dirt, they know they have a nice little dirt runner, but why not take a little shot? And so I'm going to, as I say, trust the trainer to be making maybe a clever move in here in the current good form. Allied Attack, they tried the turf in the last couple of starts, 2 starts back, the turf debut after having been on the dirt in the first 5 starts of the career. Turf debut was pretty good looking third, followed that up last time and was kind of in the hunt, but then faded late. I'm going to look for this one to maybe get back to what we saw 2 starts ago, which is going to make Allied Attack dangerous. And then the 1 and the 1A, Instamatic and Big Prankster. Big Prankster is first on the AE list, so it's going to need a little help to get in. But I think either one of these, I probably prefer Big Prankster. Just seems maybe a touch better, but I do think Instamatic coming in off the maiden breaker last time is moving in the right direction and becomes kind of dangerous in here as well. So for me in the 8th, Belmont at the Big A, 10, 11, the 1 entry, and 12. Looks like maybe I have time to get through one more before we'll send it to Royal Ascot. 9th today, Belmont at the Big A. It's one of those starter allowances, 6.5 furlongs, 5, 3, 8, and the 1A. Perpetual Praise on top for Ray Handel. Comes in fairly good form so far in 2024. A couple of wins in 5 starts, and last time a 3rd place finish in a state bred allowance. But faced this type of company 2 back and led for much of the way before getting caught at 7 furlongs. I think at the 6 today, and with a little bit of early speed, Perpetual Praise may be very interesting. If that one could sneak away a little bit, maybe it becomes tough to reel in late. Gav's Dream Girl in the 2nd spot. Chris Englehart, Manny Franco. Not the seasonal debut last time, but it was a layoff from a January start down at Gulfstream. Then comes up and, as I say, has that May start, which was very good. Nice win. Was racing in a conditional claimer, but was racing for the waiver. I like that. They were protecting the horse. Now they continue to protect in this starter allowance. But given what we saw last time, I think is dangerous in here. 6-pack Senorita in the 3rd spot. Good little 2nd place finish last time against Similar for Rudy. Flavian Prat hops on board today. 3rd start off a layoff. Some things to like there as well. In the 9th, Belmont the Big A, 5, 3, 8, and the 1 entry. All right, let's send it to Royal Ascot because they are they're gathering behind the gate, a minute to post. Again, for me, 1, 15, 14, and 2. I'm just looking. The 1 is now 5-2, and the 14, the morning line favorite, does wind up to be the favorite at 9-5. Bedtime Story. The 14 is the 9-5 favorite for Aidan O'Brien. But again, I put the 1 Age of Gold on top for Charlie Appleby, and then I have the 14 and the 15 in there, who are both offering a little bit of value, or 15 and 2 in there. 15 at 12-1, Expensive Rose, and the 2 Brian at 29-1 I thought were interesting as well. But these 2-year-old races have been kind of fun. Again, they're all coming in having shown some talent. That's what got them here, with only 1 or 2 starts under the belt. And they've been, the 2-year-old races have been fun to watch, and hopefully this one lives up to that as well. On the straightaway, 7 furlongs. It's the Chesham Royal Ascot. I'll be back after this race with more of the Handicappers Report on this Saturday morning. Stay tuned.
It won't be long before they start going into the stalls. So trying to narrow this down, well, Charlie Appleby won this with a very nice horse called Pinatubo in 2019. Carl Burke won this. He's got the runner in here. That is Mutawatage. He won it with Holloway Boy. And as we mentioned, Aidan O'Brien knows what it takes to win this Chesham Stakes over the 1,400 metres. He's won it on 6 previous occasions as they continue to load into the stalls. And now the money has come for Age of Gold. So going into the stalls. David Fitzgerald will be the caller for the first race. So be mindful of that. Looking at the draw, well, Bedtime Story hasn't probably got the best of draws, stall 3. But the way that Ryan Moore's riding, that will be no inconvenience. It won't help. Pentel Bay and Age of Gold have got brilliant draws in 11 and 12. Age of Gold needs to be ridden to the 4, whereas Pentel Bay, we presume, because the first time up was held up. So not too many more to go in. After this, we will be heading off to our next race, which will be Down Royal. So let's go across for our first race of the final day at Royal Ascot. It's the Chesham Stakes, and let's go to David Fitzgerald.
Final 3. Thank you, Alex. Good afternoon, everybody. Last one going in, Age of Gold. So 15 of them. And they're off and running in the Chesham Stakes of 2024. Moon Sniper away well. Motawahij burst out of the stalls and is very keen in the early stages. The green cap towards the left far side. A Defence Missile is fairly handy towards the near side. Metro Dubai is just being followed by Lazy Griff and Miss El Fundy. Shocker is towards the back with Hot Like Me, and also Pentel Bay is towards the rear. Bedtime Story in around about 7th place. The purple and white over on the far side, running on the outer of Duke of Monroth, with Age of Gold in the centre of the pack, the Godolphin Blue. Brian is towards the rear of the field, but it's the keen-going Motawahij that just leads them as they go past the half-mile marker and now running beyond halfway. Motawahij with Moon Sniper poised just in behind his Bedtime Story. Still there is Duke of Monroth. Expensive Rose. Age of Gold is driven. Metro Dubai the near side. Miss El Fundy trying to work into it. The extreme right, Lazy Griff, as the field are about to run inside the 2. Bedtime Story now challenging Motawahij. Then Expensive Rose and Defence Missile. But taking over here, it's Bedtime Story, and she's opened up by 3. Bedtime Story running towards the last furlong. Oh, good night, Bedtime Story. She's opened up by about 7 or 8 here. They're playing for places in behind, but Chapter 2 for Bedtime Story is a resounding win in the Chesham Stakes. A brilliant performance. Through for second, Pentel Bay. Brian was third. And then in fourth, Jewel of London ahead of Miss El Fundy. And then Expensive Rose and Age of Gold.
Remember, do you? Once upon a time, happily ever after. That was a very... Where are the others? That was so impressive. And maybe it was because it was an eye catcher because of the fact that the last time he ran a filly in the race was Maybe. And look what has happened there. It was a rout. Bedtime Story. When they finally get across the line, we will let you know who's... what a phenomenal run. Bedtime Story, your winner. Number 14, beat number 11, Pentel Bay.
Wow.
And number 2, Brian.
Betty
14,
probably got that
11,
one right. Eventually going off at 7-5, Bedtime Story for Aidan O'Brien. Off a win in the debut that was a length and a quarter. This one was much more than that. Philly facing the boys and just runs away and hides from this bunch. That was some performance there. I believe running second was the 11, Pentel Bay at 5-1 with the third choice in there. So a couple of logicals there, 1-2. So hold your tickets until it becomes official, however, and double check. But man, that was some good looking performance. Fairy Godmother looked good yesterday, but this but with a totally different kind of a trip was very impressive. But this was certainly impressive. A nice win from Bedtime Story. All right, let's move on now. Again, Belmont at the Big A, stakes action today. The Wild Applause, a mile on the grass for 3-year-old fillies. I'm 7, 9, 8, and 2. Grayosh. Chad Brown runner broke the maiden 2-back, and then they tried Stakes Company last time. I like the fact that this horse got some stakes experience last time. I think the horse might be better than that, might improve off of that, might appreciate that experience. Only 3 starts so far. I'm going to look for this one to, again, break through today with that stakes experience under the belt from last time. 7 on top. Oversubscribed. It's Chad Brown. It's Klarovich. So another Chad Brown runner. This one also having shown some talent so far in limited starts. Won the debut effort down in Tampa in February, and then came up to New York and ran a good second last time against limited winners. One of those being Makenga, the 4-horse in here. I didn't use that one, but I have no arguments if you're taking a shot there. But I'm 7 over the 8, over the 9, and then the 8 in the 3rd spot. It's Chad Brown, looking for the Chad Fecta here. Couple of turf starts. Started the career on the dirt and then moved over to the turf and clearly appreciated that much better. Took a couple of starts to break the maiden, although the debut effort on the turf debut was a pretty good second. So I think this one's a live player in here as well. This is a kind of a fun race. I could point to, as I say, Makenga, Curlin's Girl, I have in the 4 spots, so 2 or 3 others that are very playable in here as well. But for me, in the 10th at Belmont at the Big A, the Wild Applause, 7, 9, 8, and 2. And finally, we'll wrap things up at about 5:45 this afternoon. Evening with Belmont at the Big A's 11th state-bred maiden claimers, going 8.5 furlongs on the grass. I have it 6, 9, 12, and 14. 14's an AE runner. If that one doesn't get in, look at the 3. But Temple Creed seemed like a race where you could go with a fresh face. A lot of these are maidens with plenty of experience. So again, I went with a first-time starter by Jimmy Creed. I like Jimmy Creed first-time starters. Tom Morley can't have them ready. Steady string of workouts, debuts for a tag, so doesn't have to be a monster. I'll take a shot with the firster, Temple Creed. I'll take a shot with another firster from Christophe Clement, Cousin Ed. Clement's pretty good with first-time starters, steady string of workouts. None are jumping off the page. Last few have been right up here at Saratoga. But again, seems like a race where you can go in this kind of a direction. And of the ones with experience, Arco Augusta, the 12, appealed to me a little bit off the past few starts where the horse has kind of been knocking on the door, albeit on the dirt. But we'll see what this horse can do on the turf. And if we get close to those dirt performances, should be a player in here. The 11th and final at Belmont at the Big A, 6, 9, 12, and 14. Again, 14 doesn't get in. Take a look at the 3. Another break. When we come back, we will shift our attention to Churchill Downs. Stay tuned. Haven't signed up for a Capital OTB account yet? Now's the time to take advantage of the sign-up bonus. Open up a new account with $200 or more, bet $400 by the end of the month, and receive a bonus $200 into your account. Plus, you can take advantage of everything an OTB account has to offer. Wagering from any device, live streaming, racing info, past performances, online promotions, and more. Sign up today and take advantage of the new account bonus. Details at capitalotb.com.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances, and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report on this Saturday morning. Seth Merrow in the studio again. Anthony Mormino on vacation, so I'm flying solo today, and we'll fly solo right into Churchill Downs opener on this Saturday afternoon. Post time there is scheduled at 12:45. Post time in New York is 12:35 actually today, so a little bit earlier in New York than normal. Both tracks will go off relatively similarly in that fashion and maybe end in the same way. Yeah, they end right about the same time as well. So we can take through the afternoon a little New York and a little Kentucky. Churchill Downs opener, B condition claimers going 6, 4, 3, 5, and 2. Chitwood on top. Tyler Gaffleone, Greg Foley off a nice win last time. At a 10 non-2L, non-winners of 2 lifetime. This is a B condition. I don't think it's a big move. I think we're kind of right in the same ballpark off a nice win. So Chitwood seems logical. Even money on the morning line. Given the look of the rest of this field and the win last time, I get it, and I think the horse is going to take a lot of action. But that last one, number-wise, is a little bit of an aberration. And so, again, another one where if I'm starting to pick 5, I'm probably spreading around a little bit. I don't know whether I'd single there necessarily. Legendary Lore claimed last time. Trainer with a very limited sample is very good, according to the racing form, off the claim 2 of the last 3. But again, it's a limited sample. But claimed this one, did claim it away from Steve Asmussen. So we'll see what the trainer can do. But there are clearly numbers on the page that make Legendary Lore very competitive in here. Woody the Bid Spotter in the 3rd spot, been down at the bottomish level, Turfway and Belterra. But the last couple have been okay, going back to January and then a most recent start, Belterra, in May. I think the horse will play with this bunch, but the class is definitely going to be a question mark. Opener Churchill, I have 4, 3, 5, and 2. Race number 2 at Churchill Downs today. They're scheduled on the grass. Optional claimers, non-winners of 3, other than 5, 2, 6, and 3. Number 5 is For the Flag. Lots of early speed from the Jimmy Toner runner. Hasn't been seen since March at Gulfstream, but comes in off a couple of nice workouts at Fairhill. And I think those workouts bode well for this horse. To be a player in here, to maybe show that early speed, I think at the mile, we're right in this horse's wheelhouse. Question mark will be the layup, but again, the workouts seem to indicate that's not going to be a problem. Not so close in the second slot. Norm Cassie trainee also has some early speed. I think it's a race with plenty of speed. So, maybe you're looking for one to kind of come from behind. But when you overthink sometimes, there's plenty of speed in here. One of them escapes, and then you're kind of kicking yourself. So I went with a couple of the speed horses. Sister Lou Ann has the ability to maybe stalk and pounce, but I'm not seeing too many successful tries at that. This one also, though, given a stalk, stalk right off the speed. Another one with some early speed. I didn't see anybody, watch this Birdie. If you go down the page, maybe has a closing effort or 2 that are interesting. Bling, same. It's going to be interesting to watch first turn and as they hit the backstretch, how the pace scenario does shake out in here. But I have a couple of speed horses right up in the thick of things. In the second at Churchill, 5, 2, 6, and 3. Race number 3 at Churchill Downs this afternoon. Maiden claimers. Not cheap maiden claimers. $100,000 is the tag. 5 furlongs is the trip. 5, 6, 8, and 2. Complexity is the sire of Swift Wind. And if you watched yesterday, I made mention of it. Vacoma, over the past couple of weeks, has been notable as a sire we'll have to pay attention to as we progress with the 2-year-old races into the summer. But Complexity over the past few days has moved right into that conversation. He had a second-time starter for Asmussen win yesterday nicely. I'm looking for the same scenario this afternoon with an offspring of Complexity in the second career start of a debut effort that wasn't much. But as I say, there was a similar scenario yesterday that worked out. So Swift Wind, the 5 on top. Evie's Eyebrows in the second spot. First-time starter by Matoli from Brendan Walsh. I think could be live in debut with a little bit of win early breeding. My Lady Bay in the third spot. Rob Atris, debut runner from Volato, is interesting. Me Little Frost Girl by 1,000 Words. First-time starter with a couple of workouts that are okay. That one is intriguing as well. Fun little group of high-priced maiden claimers in the third at Churchill. I have a 5, 6, 8, and 2. And I wonder, again, a couple of these have some interesting breeding. I wonder if somebody will jump in and scoop something up for 100. And I'm just looking at auction prices to see. Now, the top pick, the Complexity second-time starter, was $50,000 at auction. So they'd do okay if somebody took it. There's 130,000 Evie's Eyebrows for 130. So they'd all, except for Evie's Eyebrows, wind up making a little money. Technically, obviously, after you buy the horse at auction, you have to spend a decent amount of money getting the horse to the racetrack there. But as I say, it'll be a fun little race, the third. Fourth race at Churchill. Starter allowance types going the 1-turn mile, 5, 3, 1, and 2. Windy Bay on top, comes in off a couple of nice little knocking on the door. Second place finishes. I can see this one progressing forward in this particular group. Second slot, we'll look at Thorny, the Mike Maker runner. Nice win at claimed at Oaklawn 3-back. Nice win at Oaklawn 2-back. And then came up to Churchill and kind of disappointed as the favorite. Some of these Oaklawn runners I've noticed, I was looking at some Steve Asmussen stats just earlier this week. Some of these Oaklawn runners have come to Churchill and they get a start under the belt and then in the next start move forward. We'll see if that's the case with Thorny. Windy Walk in the third spot. Nice win last time. $50,000 conditional claimer. Win 3-back at the 20 claiming level. In between those was a starter allowance that wasn't as good. This is a little bit lesser of a starter allowance. We'll see today what Windy Walk can do with this group. But off the last, I was willing to give this one another shot in this starter allowance type company. In the fourth at Churchill, 5, 3, 1, and 2. Fifth race, Churchill Downs this afternoon. Restricted maiden specials. This is one of those nice condition, sold at auction for $50,000 or less. 5.5 furlongs a trip. 6, 2, 5, and 7. The number 6 coming in hot. Irod Ortiz trainee showed a little punch early before fading late. Trainer's pretty good, second out of the box. And again, you have Irod Ortiz on board. Getting 6-1. By McLean's music. Win early, sire. Trainer does well with a horse with experience under the belt. Irod Ortiz in town, and he's on board. We'll take a shot with the 6-1 morning line. 8-1 on the morning line for Miss the Turn. Same trainer as the top pick. Also second-time starter, Tyler Gaffleone on board. So really a very similar scenario to the things I like with the top pick as with Miss the Turn, including a decent little morning line if that holds up. And then Sweet Fantasy in the third spot, Mark Cassie trainee. Like the top two, disappointed a little bit in debut, but I would think with that experience, we maybe get a chance to move forward. Bostonian for Wesley Ward. You know, you have a 5.5 furlong 2-year-old sprinter from Wesley Ward. Just on that factor, the 7 horse is going to be interesting also. But for me, in the fifth at Churchill, 6, 2, 5, and 7. Race number 6 at Churchill Downs. They're on the grass for a quick 5 furlongs. Optional claimers, non-winners at 2. 6th at Churchill, 6, 8, 2, and 7. Out of door on top. This is a horse with some stakes experience if you go down the page a little bit, but most recently has been facing fairly similar. Last time faced completely similar, very totally similar condition last time and won. So this is one of my, why not right back? Goes out for Wesley Ward off a win in a very similar race, as I say. We'll put that one on top again. Second spot, Counter Strike. Nice second place finish, 2 back against Semler, and then behind Outador. And then last time kind of flopped. That may not flatter Outador to be able to put a couple together. But Outador, again, it was a nice win last time in similar company at the end of April. Counter-Strike has had a race since. Outador has had all that time out to recover. So it may just have been a very tough race 2 back. And the more time is going to benefit Outador. Now with a race under the belt in between for Counter-Strike, I'll look for that one to rebound to a better effort also. And Bushido in the third spot. That's a little bit of early speed. Third start back off an early season layoff. Some things to think this one could be a little bit of a player at a very decent price. 6th at Churchill, 6, 8, 2, and 7. 7th race at Churchill, we're looking at stakes action in the Chicago Grade 3 event, 7 furlongs for the Fillies and Mares. I went 3, 1, and 4. I'm going to put Vava on top. It's our friends at West Point, Cherie DeVoe, West Point and Company here. Irod Ortiz, he's in town. And I'm assuming he's in town for Vava. He's got rides on the rest of the card, but this is, I would think, is the highlight. And Irod Ortiz has been the regular rider the past couple of starts, including the near miss in the Madison, but then the win Derby weekend, and a very nice win with a nice triple-digit buyer. I'll go with Vava on top. On the morning line, Society is a nudge, the favorite. Vava's even money. Society's 4 to 5. Society going out for Steve Asmussen, last seen running 4th in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mares Sprint. I'm just going to go with the recency on Vava and give her a little bit of an edge over Society. Chi-Town Lady in the 3rd spot. I suppose there's a shot to upset, but it seems like the top 2 are the class of this bunch. In the 7th at Churchill, 3, 1, and 4. 8th race at Churchill, maiden specials going mile and a 16th, 7, 5, 9, and 1. We'll put Queen of Paris on top. Godolphin, Brad Cox, a Tappet runner who put in a pretty good debut effort, beaten favorite that day. But again, a little bit of breeding, potent connections, got some valuable experience in the debut. 4 to 1. This is a race I'm going to be very interested to see how it shakes out. 4 to 1 is the 3rd choice on the morning line. Genetics, the 6 is the favorite. I didn't use that one. Belmont runner, I don't really have a big argument against. I just wasn't that enamored. Save Time is the 2nd choice on the morning line. I put that one right underneath. It's Chad, it's Judmont. Comes out of a nice try up at Belmont at the Big A in the 3rd career start. Blinkers go on today. I think that one is gaining experience, improving. Blinker change today could move that one forward. So Queen of Paris over Save Time, and then Sustancia in the 3rd spot. A little bit of improvement, start 1 to start 2, at least the finishing position. The numbers were kind of the same. But I think being lately raced, I think probably has to move forward a little bit. Not much, but I don't think that's out of the question with the number of starts under the belt. 8th, Churchill down 7, 5, 9, and 1. Race number 9 this afternoon down at Churchill. Optional claimer, non-winners are 1 other than 6.5 is the trip. 4, 8, 7, and 10. I'm going to put Minx Palace on top. Eddie Keneally runner who so far has looked pretty good. Excuse me. It broke the maiden in the career debut. That's always impressive. Followed it up. That was in November and then didn't come back. But that's not, totally unusual. Sometimes these horses will get that 2-year-old start under the belt and then, okay, we've got the experience. We have a horse with a little bit of talent. Let's come back at 3. They did that. They put in a couple of good races so far. I think this horse does have some talent and some potential. 3rd start back this season. We'll put Minx Palace on top. She called in the 2nd spot. Another one making the 4th career start. First couple of starts were down at Oaklawn. Then a decent little 4th place finish here at Churchill. I mentioned earlier, seems like some of these Oaklawn shippers have taken a start to get a little feel for the Churchill strip, and then they do better. That may be the case here. Here you come again, 7 in the third spot. Another one, 3 starts under the belt, has shown some talent. I think is well suited to put in a good effort here in the second start of 2024. It's a Brad Cox runner and very dangerous. George's Honey at a price for Mark Casse on the outside of a debut victory last year here at Churchill is interesting. Irod Ortiz on board, and you're looking at 12-1 on the morning line. Don't overlook the 10 in here. 9th at Churchill, 4, 8, 7, and 10. 10th race at Churchill, optional claimer with a non-winners of 3 condition. 3/4 of a mile the trip. 5, 7, 8, and 2. Number 5 is Payne. 12-1 on the morning line. Comes out of a couple of stakes tries most recently. 2 starts back down at Oaklawn, ran a good 3rd. Last time at Churchill was 5th. But the numbers fired in both were right there in the same ballpark and probably are a good match with this bunch. I'll tilt slightly in that direction at a price. Champlin in the second spot, lightly raced runner for Greg Foley. If this horse runs back to the last effort, that was a solid number. This horse may wind up being the one to beat. Happy is a choice. Hasn't been seen since Oaklawn. Ran 3rd in the Count Fleet behind Skelly and Tejano Twist. A couple of good stakes quality sprinters. That should bode well. Trackmate, the number 2 for Wayne Lucas, has some nice solid numbers to look at. I think it's a competitive 10th race. For me, 5, 7, 8, and 2. And in the 11th and final at Churchill today, again on the grass for optional claimers, non-winners of 2, 8, 1, 11, and 6. I put Miranda Wrights on top. Couple of starts so far this season. Nice little incremental improvement. Start 1 to start 2 so far in 2024 for the Mark Casse trainee. If that improvement continues, could be very interesting in here this afternoon. Harlecap in the second spot, more of a dirt runner than a turf runner, certainly. But on the dirt, the Asmussen runner is very, very intriguing. And I think, I'll put my trust in the trainer, Steve Asmussen, to be maybe making a clever little experiment here. Sometimes these experiments, this horse will be up the track. This is one of those up the track or right in the thick of things. But again, I'll trust the trainer to be making a clever move. Space Launch in the third spot. Typically in the hunt, and has been in the hunt in the past few starts, comes up from Gulfstream, and that they elected to come up and try this company I found intriguing. So 11th and final at Churchill, 8, 1, 11, and 6. All right. Excuse me. We will wrap it up for the Handicappers Report. Again, Seth Merrow in here on a Saturday morning, flying solo with Anthony Mormino on vacation. I think he'll be back in a couple of weeks, actually. I think he's still on vacation next week. But hopefully we gave you some ideas for this afternoon. Churchill and Belmont at the Big A. We'll take a quick break as I wrap up Handicappers Report. We'll come back 10 o'clock Racing Across America. And we are now just about 5 minutes away from race number 2 at Ascot. So we'll get into that, and then we'll get into the actual Racing Across America show with Dick Powell and Ellis Starr. Dick will look at Royal Ascot. Ellis will look at the Ohio Derby and more. All of that after we, again, take a wrap-up Handicappers Report, take a break, back in a couple, Racing Across America. Stay tuned.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.